She has been married to Sergeant First Class Ian Shepard for more than 14 years. Ashley supports military families in every way you can imagine. She has served as a family readiness group leader, co-leader, treasurer, and assistant treasurer for 3 companies. She works hard. She raises money for scholarships, organizes charity events for Gold Star families, and feeds homeless veterans. Ashley, I want to thank you. Ashley, where is Ashley? I had a feeling that was you, Ashley. Stand up, Ashley. Thank your husband, too. Thank you. America is eternally grateful for every soldier, service member, and family member here at Fort Drum. And we are forever in the debt of every American who has ever served our nation in uniform. From the snows of Valley Forge to the jungles of Vietnam and the mountains of Afghanistan, it's just incredible what you do. A few days ago, Vice President Pence flew to Hawaii to greet the remains of some of our nation's greatest heroes, our fallen warriors who gave their lives many years ago in Korea. Now these American heroes are finally starting to come home. They will be laid to rest on American soil. We believe in no American left behind. And we believe our warfighters deserve the tools, the equipment, and resources they have earned with their blood, sweat, and tears. In a few moments, in honor of that sacred obligation, I will put my signature on the National Defense Authorization Act. This authorization will give America's warfighters the firepower they need to win any conflict quickly and decisively. Thanks to the leadership of Representative Stefanik, we're also making an unprecedented commitment to developing our artificial intelligence capabilities. In order to maintain America's military supremacy, we must always be on the cutting edge. That is why we are also proudly reasserting America's legacy of leadership in space. Our foreign competitors and adversaries have already begun weaponizing space, developing new technologies to disrupt vital communications, blind satellites, and you look at what they're doing. They've given me rundowns. I've seen things that you don't even want to see, what they're doing and how advanced they are. We'll be catching them very shortly. They want to jam transmissions, which threaten our battlefield operations and so many other things. We will be so far ahead of them in a very short period of time, your head will spin. China even launched a new military division to oversee its warfighting programs in space. Just like the air, the land, the sea, space has become a warfighting domain. It is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space, and that is why just a few days ago, the Vice President outlined my administration's plan to create a 6th branch of the United States military called the United States Space Force. Gotta get it, Joe. Gotta get it, Joe. Right, Joe? Right? We will ensure that the next great chapter in history is written by the heroes of the United States military. America will always rise to every challenge and overcome every danger because we are backed by the strength and power of the American soldier. Speaking to his troops, General George Patton, a great one, once said, "We have the finest equipment and the best spirit and the best men in the world." Now, if it were today, he would be saying the best men and women in the world. Things do change. But that was quite a statement many years ago.
Yes, they do.
Continuing his remarks, Patton then declared, "I don't want to get any messages saying I am holding my position. We are not holding a damn thing. We are advancing constantly." That was Patton. Nearly 75 years later, Patton's words still ring true. America has the best equipment anywhere in the world. We have the best spirit, the best soldiers ever to set foot on any battlefield, anywhere, at any time. We are the most powerful. We are the best funded. We are the biggest. We are the strongest. We are the smartest. And we are still not holding a damn thing because America is on the move once again. And we are not backing down. Our country is respected again. I don't know if you see it, but America is respected again. There's a big difference and a big difference in the air. You take a look around. There's a big, beautiful difference. We are advancing forward with our confidence renewed, our might restored, and the unwavering conviction that our destiny is our victory. America's future is safe, sound, and brighter than ever because each of you is mountain tough, mountain proud, and mountain strong, and always will be climbing to glory. You will be climbing to glory. Thank you again for the incredible men and women of Fort Drum. Special, special, great people. God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America.
Amen.
I'd now like to invite a few of our fantastic soldiers from the 10th Mountain Division, 2nd Brigade Combat Team to join me on stage to sign the National Defense Authorization Act. It's been an honor to be with you today. Thank you all very much. Thank you. This is it, but I'll just sign it, okay? Or we'll be here all night. Okay, that's good, right? There you go, okay?
30 years in the making. It's taken 30 years for technology to advance to the point that Ronald Reagan's dreams, as well as my own, are starting to finally come true towards seeing us weaponize satellites and go into the realm of space wars like had originally been planned. For some reason, this had been put on the back burner, and it's finally being recognized by our leaders that it is just as essential, it's imperative that we have good cyber defenses as well as space defenses, because we have people up there that are really, really mean players whenever it comes to wanting to cause disruption, electrical disturbances in various parts of the country. And when they're finally acknowledging it and recognizing that the things that Ronald Reagan discussed and talked about should have been addressed more in a forceful way 30 years ago. Now we're catching up to where we should have been, and hopefully we will excel that in the next few months and the next few years on both fronts, on the cyber front as well as the space front, because both are just as essential as the other.
2.6% for troops, the largest in 9 years. A new aircraft carrier, 13 new battleships, 2 Virginia-class submarines, $250 million for expanding the submarine industrial base, 77 F-35 fifth-generation Joint Strike Fighters, modernization of the nuclear triad, funding to develop and field low-yield nuclear weapons. According to the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, the increased funding sends a strong message to Russia and China, confounding Trump critics who say that he is not doing enough to stop Russian aggression, Shep.
Jennifer, if you could tell us how it does push back against Russia.
Well, all of that equipment is being procured not to fight terrorists, as have been fought. Most of the wars in the last 17 years have been focusing on counterterrorism, but to get back to great power competition with an eye towards Russia and China in particular. Here are some examples inside the bill. It requires the president to designate a National Security Council employee to coordinate the interagency fight against malign foreign influence operations, including election interference. That is a direct response to Russian interference in the last election. It includes $6.3 billion to reassure U.S. partners and allies and increase the U.S. military presence in Europe. It bars military-to-military cooperation with Russia, even if the president were to order the U.S. military to cooperate with the Russian military in Syria. It bars that. And most importantly, it ties the hands of the president in recognizing Russia's annexation of Crimea, something that many in Congress feared that the president would do. There are literally dozens of provisions that target Russian aggression specifically. It is spelled out in a way that I have not seen before, Shepard.
Well, Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thanks so much. We were waiting to see whether the president might say anything about some of the other headlines of the day. He did not. So we'll get into them now, starting with Agent Peter Strzok, fired from his job at the FBI. Peter Strzok is the agent who sent anti-Trump text messages and others during the 2016 presidential election to his then lover and former FBI lawyer, Lisa Page. Peter Strzok worked on Hillary Clinton's email investigation and later the special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. But once word of the text messages got out, Mueller immediately removed him from his team. President Trump has repeatedly slammed Peter Strzok on Twitter, pointing to the agent as a reason not to trust what he calls the, quote, rigged witch hunt investigation. During a congressional hearing last month, Peter Strzok argued that there was no evidence of any bias in his professional actions. The chief intelligence correspondent Catherine Herridge live, Alexandria, Virginia, just outside D.C. What's the response from Strzok's team?
Okay, so we got a statement earlier today from Peter Strzok's attorney, and he confirmed a lot of details about his client's termination. He said Strzok was fired on Friday afternoon by the deputy director of the FBI, and the attorney alleged that the deputy director overruled the recommendation of the FBI's internal ethics panel that had recommended a 60-day suspension and a further demotion of Agent Strzok. Part of that statement reads, the decision to fire Special Agent Strzok is not only a departure from typical bureau practice, but also contradicts Director Wray, so that's FBI Director Christopher Wray's testimony to Congress and his assurances that the FBI intended to follow its regular process in this and all personnel matters. This decision should be deeply troubling to all Americans. It's important to note that at the Aspen Security Forum in July, the FBI director specifically said that he felt the Bureau got into trouble in 2016 under Director Comey because they were not following the procedures and the processes to the letter. Let's listen.
There's a pending personnel matter, and as I said, I want to make sure that we're doing things, following our process, doing things by the book. Our Inspector General report has referred a number of individuals to our disciplinary process, and I think it's very, very important that we let that process, without delay, work itself through and get to a result, as opposed to responding to hue and cry.
We heard from one analyst today who suggested, so this is simply their analysis, that the FBI fired Peter Strzok because more information may come to light that suggests that there will be further action in his case. Remember, the Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was fired for lying to federal agents about his media contacts in 2016, and that could lead to a criminal prosecution. And pardon me for the noise behind me, but they must have turned up the fountain, Shep, just for our hit.
Well, that's very nice of them. Hey, regarding all of this, what's the reaction across the district?
Okay, so the FBI has declined to comment on Strzok's termination, and that's pretty standard because they do not comment on personal matters. But as you would expect, the president took to Twitter within an hour that this information was confirmed. And one reads in part, the just fired Agent Strzok, formerly of the FBI, was in charge of the crooked Hillary Clinton sham investigation. It was a total fraud on the American public and should be properly redone. So in his tweet, the president is making this connection between Strzok, who was on the email case, and Strzok was on the Russia case, saying they really ought to reopen or re-look at the work that he did back in 2015 and 2016, Shep.
Catherine Herridge, Alexandria, Virginia. President Trump is unleashing on his former White House aide, Omarosa, calling her wacky, a loser, and not smart, after she released another secret recording. This time, she says, of the president himself.
Boy, oh boy,
is
we
not
got so
bad.
much cutthroating, backstabbing, double dealing. It's really sad what this country has become whenever it comes to being divided the way that we are right now. It's really it's dangerously sad. Dangerously sad that we bring people in high-ranking positions simply to bring recognition and glory to themselves. And instead of them being up there working for the people, in trust of the people, they're up there doing like Monica Lewinsky, trying to get over on somebody so that they can create their own name, so they can glorify their own achievements. And this is not what our forefathers had in mind whenever they talked about unity and a nation under God, invisible. This is not what our forefathers had in mind. And people can sit there and say what they want to about the statement that I have made about a various politician in this particular county. But the fact of the matter is, whenever you are a state or county or federal employee, there's certain things that they are required not to say in comparison to people like myself that is not a employee of the government, towards not being sworn in, duly appointed, sworn in as some sort of an agent. There's certain criterias that the citizens of this country has that the employees does not whenever it comes to open speech. And I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but the bottom line is that once you sign the dotted line to become a county, state, or a federal employee, there are certain requirements that goes along with that signature of you getting that government check, regardless of what form that it may come in. There are certain requirements that comes with that. And there are certain people in this county. I'm not gonna mention their names right now openly, but there are certain people in this county that, as far as I'm concerned, has violated their principles as well as violated their duties in not being fair and professional, but instead being biased and unprofessional. In other words, because of their emotions, because of their feelings, it has given them the title, as far as I am concerned, of dereliction of duty. That's going to be all that I have to talk about. 2 thumbs up to the president and the vice president and various people that's working with our government that's finally recognizing after 30 years that we do need to advance and be on top of our game whenever it comes to cyber as well as regular space, various things that the enemy can do to us now, that if we do not have trained warriors in this regard, it could leave all of us in peril, in great severe peril. So thank God that finally 30 years they have finally awoken the sleeping giant to the point of recognizing these type of harsh, cruel, insensitive dangers. Thanks again. God bless. And you got it. Good luck to all of us. See ya.